Okay.
So it should be recording. All right, so we are doing the 8 elements. The first element is purpose. So you want to think about your purpose. Your purpose is your goal or your objective of what you're trying to accomplish. We also use the term to include functions, motives, and intentions. You should be clear about your purpose, and your purpose should always be justifiable. Questions which to target when looking or thinking about purpose is, what is my purpose or their purpose in doing any situation? Or what is the purpose of education? Why did I say what I said? So all of those are important things to think about when you're trying to target purpose or trying to come up with a purpose for any reason at all. Next element.
Element for the 8 elements of thought is information. And when you are getting information, it includes the facts, data, evidence, or experiences we use to figure things out. It does not necessarily imply accuracy or correctness. Some questions that we can target to gather information is previous experiences, or is the data relevant to the issue? What kind of information do we need? Like, yeah, what kind of information do we need? And always we gotta think about if we left out any like important information that the other person needs to know. The third element of thought is question. So when you're the question is laying out the issue or problem in a series of questions to guide your thinking. Really, it doesn't help when if you don't ask a clear question, you're not going to get a clear answer. So that's when it becomes vague and cloudy, and there will be misconceptions along the road. So questions we can target and understand about asking the right questions is to see if you don't understand the question that they're asking, to clarify it. That's a big one. Another one is what kind of question is it? Is it political? Is it historical? Is it about music? Just so you don't start trailing off. And then another good question is, what are the important questions to ask to know the important stuff about the issue or problem? Because if you don't, and it's just going to be small questions, everything will get mixed up. So on to element number 4.
Element number 4 is interpretation and inference. Basically, it's conclusion and solution. And this is infer only what the evidence implies. Check inferences for the consistency with each other. Identify assumptions, understanding your inferences. And basically is inferences should logically follow from the evidence, infer no more or less than what is implied in the situation. And some questions are infer only with what the evidence implies, check for their consistency with each other, check for their consistency, identify assumptions in your inferences, and check for other conclusions to consider. And the 5th one is concepts, which is theories, definitions, laws, principles, models. And these ones are concepts, are hypotheses we use in thinking to make sense of things. Identify key concepts with precision, and consider alternative concepts or alternative definitions of concepts. And to clarify concept is basically being clear about the concepts you're using ideas you are using in your thinking, identify key concepts and explain them clearly, consider alternative concepts or alternative definitions of concepts, and make sure to use concepts with precision.
All right. And our next element is assumptions. So the main thing about assumptions is you always want to check your assumptions. Assumptions are beliefs you take for granted. Usually, assumptions operate at the subconscious or unconscious level of thought. Make sure that you are clear about your assumptions and they are justified by sound evidence. Some questions to ask about assumptions are, am I assuming something I shouldn't? What assumption is leading me to this conclusion? And what is being presupposed in this theory? So all of those questions are trying to ask basically so you back up your assumption. So that is the key, the sound evidence to your assumption. So it's believable and that people take you seriously when you're trying to assume something, whether it's true or not true. And our next element is implications and consequences. You always want to be sure that you think through your implications and consequences. Some implications are claims or truths that logically follow from other claims or truths. Implications can also follow from thought. Consequences follow from actions. So implications are inherent in your thoughts, whether you see them or not. The best thinkers think through logical implications in a situation before acting. Questions you can ask yourself about implications are, how significant are the implications of this decision? And what, if anything, is implied by the fact that a much higher percentage of poor people are in jail than wealthy people? Those are a few questions you can ask about some implications or consequences that you would have when using that element. So on to our last element.
Our last element is point of view, which frame of reference per se, from which you use make sure you understand the limitations of your point of view and that you fully consider other relevant point of views. And to understand point of view is the way we look at a situation, look at a situation from different point of views, consider the way others view things, study viewpoints that challenge your personal beliefs, and am I having difficulty looking at the situation from a viewpoint with which I disagree? And this concludes our 8 elements of thought.